country to choose from, 16 African countries participating. Will you be there? Tickets can be bought at participating Spar stores. Miss it, miss out. The Orange AFCON 2013. The beat is at Africa's feet.
Media at SAFM with Ashraf Garda.
Lots of people talking about, by the way, we're chatting to Larry Kumalo, the ad expert, just before we get the last 10 minutes of the show, looking at his advert that he wants to talk about. So listen out for that, should be really interesting. For now, however, let's talk about the changing face of advertising. Two guests, Gil Oved, that's the one, and the other is Neu-Ner, and both of them are the joint CEOs, right, of the Creative Counsel. And let me make the point, Counsel, Counsel. Got that right. Okay.
That's right.
Thanks for coming in. Now, who wants to start with talking about the changing face of advertising in terms of where we are and where we're going?
I think I'll hand this one over to Gil.
Gil, go first.
So we've seen a trend, some call it a revolution. I think it's a very fast evolution. A trend away from what one would consider traditional advertising, which is always start with a TV commercial, crack the big idea of the TVC 30-second format, give or take. I'm being puritanical here, of course, but just for the sake of it. And then if you like the big idea as the marketing director, then you kind of hand it over, and then it trickles down to all the other kind of mediums. And the last thing is that consumer engagement. That was the old way of doing things. Today, you've got so many multiple channels. You may not even be seen on TV, even if you put it on all the major stations. And the big idea can come from anywhere at any time, and it could even start with a very cool YouTube idea or a promotional idea with consumers, and that's the center, and then everything else revolves around it, including TV.
But you think that idea is going to be the norm now?
I think things things are changing. There's been a lot of there's a whole lot of new platforms, a whole lot of more personalized platforms. I mean, we talk about Facebook, and yes, everyone's talking about the hoo-has of Facebook, and right now all guys are doing are building communities. But you can kind of see what the next step is, and that is really personalizing marketing to the consumer. Now, for years we've been talking about this since the launch of the internet and the launch of search engines with personalization, but no one's actually done it. And now we're starting to see it happen. If you look around you, the retailers are holding more databases, which is going to it's going to open up a whole lot of platforms to communicate directly to the consumer.
Consumers are looking for personal experiences. They're already getting it in so many ways. On the internet, when they go into malls, wherever they go, they get personal messages. And our intelligence about consumers is increasing exponentially. So we're inclined to do that. What's also, campaigns are becoming iterative. So all too often, of late, what happens is we kind of, instead of planning A to Z, you plan A to E. And say, let's see what happens and keep some budget and see reactions. And these are the kind of things that could evolve. And that's quite an exciting place to be in.
Okay, but if that's happening, and let's just start with you, Gil, first of all, how much of a game changer would that be in the industries? Meaning, at the moment, you have brand, whatever that brand is, you have lots of agencies, creative agencies. If we're following what you're saying, there would be a dramatic change in how they relate to each other as well.
Absolutely, and there is already. So, I mean, I don't like the concept of like the doomsayers of above-the-line agencies and stuff, but there is no question that they're all going through massive change, and they need to. They're looking for new ways to monetize what they used to do and what they're going to be doing. So I think there's going to be a merging of the small agencies into bigger agencies that offer innovative solutions that are conceptual centric, that are not tied to making money through production and general revenue spend. So they're going to look for other ways to monetize it. And then you're going to get newcomers like ourselves, even though we've been around for 11 years. Effectively, newcomers like ourselves who are going to be offering those kind of solutions as well. So there's a bit of competition, and there is a lot of complementary work as well.
I think it's become less about the creative concept and more about creative engineering and trying to find the consumer not through copywriting, but more through ways of which you can access the consumer. If I look around and I look to some of the guys that we work with and some of the smarter guys like the Unilevers of the world, those guys are talking directly to the consumers. I think they've taken the focus slightly less off the above-the-line stuff, and they're saying, how can we get into the consumer's home directly?
But if we follow that, and I don't have stats with them, and you may have it, as a percentage of advertising? I mean, above the line, certainly TV advertising, a formidable piece of the pie, isn't it?
Yes, it has been.
What are the figures? I mean, do you know offhand?
Look, I don't know the accurate figures offhand. I know when we entered the industry years ago, there was an 80-20 split between traditional above the line and what they then called below the line. And at the time, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, everyone was talking about this shift. And we were going, okay, so when is this shift actually going to arrive? Because everyone's talking about it, but where is it? And we're really now feeling in the last year or two that guys are really serious about taking that above the line, traditional above the line money, not cutting it completely, but taking a big chunk of it and saying, let me get into the hands of the consumers and let me give them a one-on-one brand experience, or a brand experience that is much more relevant to them.
But they also say things like, we don't want to do traditional TV, or let's do an inexpensive an inexpensive commercial and put it only on YouTube, or let's create a TV ad that the user rates in their experiences on the ground. So like that Toyota ad with a test drive is a good example. We've done stuff. We launched the new Peugeot, and we installed cameras in the car and had a celebrity drive around and pick people up and have experiences in the car, and that went on YouTube. So it's a completely different angle to what you call above the line. I mean, that money, would you call that TV spend? Well, kind of theoretically it is. But
if we follow that through logically, then certainly broadcasters like the SABC listening to us right now, and just about all the others as well, they have serious problems.
I believe they're going to have to become a little more experiential. And I think I'll throw something out there, and just so you can get conceptually what we're talking about here. In the past, you've watched a hair care advert, and you've seen women walking around in certain situations and whipping their hair. If someone has short hair, they can't relate to those hairstyles. Now, new technology, what you can do is you can create a personalized hair care advert where the makes a scan of what your hair looks like, and using the shampoo or this brand can send you only hair care styles that suit yourself. So the SABC currently can't do that, so they're going to have to become, or all the broadcasters are probably going to have to become, in our view, probably much more experiential and much more interactive.
And I mean, do you think the advertising and sales teams, we're not talking SABC, it could be just across the board, SABC, ETV, and all the DSTV channels, do you think they get for that at this moment?
Right now, definitely not. But they're moving to it quickly. They're learning iteratively, and they're starting to partner up with agencies like ourselves, let's call it new age agencies. And you can see that they are, in some cases, desperate for change. Others are holding back. But there's a definite change in terms of perceptions of what we do and how important the role that we play as agencies is.
I think central to this, Ron, and you can maybe just comment on this one, is that concept of cost per acquisition, which means you can track down effectiveness of advertising, isn't it?
Correct. And also, I think, definition of acquisition. In the old days, you'd send out a TV ad and you'd measure how many people actually saw the ad. Is that an acquisition? How do you translate that back to a physical sale? And again, I go back to it, but now we can really monitor to the home which consumers are buying what. Retailers are holding that information. We're holding certain information. The multinationals are holding certain information. And you can really start cross-selling to databases. And then you can really see whether consumers are buying something. So I'll give you a perfect example. And again, I'm going to go back to a Unilever example. You can SMS a unique code on every single pack. What they're actually doing is correlating the consumer to the actual pack that they purchased. That's great intel, and that's probably the way of thinking for the future. But it takes the brand's guts, because there's an infrastructure required to label every single pack.
Wow. Which means then, Gil, that certainly those companies long term that or those that can't provide the data that's so important, they're going to have a serious problem.
So I don't think it's only data. I think agencies, again, I don't like the doomsayers, because these big agencies have been around for many years. Some are slower to change than others, but you can see that change is inevitable. But I think what's happening is they realize the importance of data. They also realize the importance of executional excellence. So whereas before it was all kind of airy-fairy, very strategic, and not a thought to how to actually bring it down to the ground and how to interact directly with consumers. Consumers were very faceless. The concept of mass media, hope for the best, put up a billboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of cars drive past, someone will see it. So I think it's been a massive shift for them to go from there to saying, okay, well, geez, once they've seen it, what happens then? And what action will take place? And how do we verify it and measure it? And it could be either per sale or per something shoved down your throat. It's got to be a cost per X, where X is something tangible and executionable.
Okay, which gets me thinking then that, and we've got about a minute and a half to wrap up, okay? Time is everything in this place, as you know, right? That certainly, I mean, in this entire industry, now to get both views, Ron, we'll start with you. Who's going to be growing in this industry? That means there could be 10 different segments that make up the greater marketing, advertising, and you've touched on digital and social media and all those type of things, right? Where's the one area that we're going to see the biggest growth?
I think it's not really one area. It's an integration of several areas. I think it's going to start off with some kind of social platform, be it mobile or internet on Facebook, but not solely like that. It's not about gaining the community, but it's how you can really interact with the community, and not by sending the messages, but more by connecting with them physically. So I think the company or the industry that's going to win this war is he who can really combine so on the ground, one-on-one consumer marketing. I think that's the person that's going to take the biggest part of the pie.
And all of us will be plotting about that right now. Gil, just your last thoughts?
Yeah, I think similarly, just to say that there is a blurring, not only above the line, below the line, but digital and on the ground. And I really believe that one should stop talking about how do we take something digital and put it on the ground, or on the ground to digital. It's one thing. It's all augmented, and you have to approach it as a singular thing. And the person who wins that battle is going to take it all.
Okay, we'll see if you guys are right. I have a feeling you, in fact, are. There you are, the changing face of advertising from the two guys who jointly run the Creative Counsel. It's Gil Oved, you just heard his voice last, and before that, Neu-Ner. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. We'll probably chat sometime soon as well. Okay.
Thank you, Ashraf. Thanks for having me.
I'll tell you what, we're gonna do this. We spoke about it yesterday or last week, in fact, about just some of the risks journalists sort of under fire. I mean, under fire, under threat, really. So we'll talk to two journalists about that, just how they feel about it, psychological, social impact of all of that, and we'll do that right after this.